fresh off the G5 jet. I'm on my way to a brand new kit.
Welcome back, eSIM Studios YouTube channel. We are live on this Tuesday afternoon, a little earlier than usual. I'm trying to have our start times, a little sooner, a little bit easier for me, and I'm sure depending on where you're at, well, maybe a little easier, maybe not, right, for some others, but it's easier for me. So I'm going to try to do them a little earlier in the day. I would like to start these like around 2 or 3, which I might try and do, but let's get to like the 4 and the 5 o'clock hour first, and then I'll see if I can do the 2 or 3 o'clock hour. But I want to welcome everybody in. Hope everybody had a wonderful day. Do appreciate the time. We're going to have, so I have a main topic to talk about. I kind of teased it a little bit yesterday. Had a lot of news to get into yesterday that was going on in the tech world. Didn't really have time to discuss what we are going to talk about today. And, I was thinking, is there any other news going on? And Google I.O. So I looked into Google I.O., and it was a big nothing burger. A bunch of AI crap, AI this, AI that. And before it started, I was like, damn, should I live stream it, simulcast it? Because, they don't really, if you simulcast, meaning like if you show the broadcast on my YouTube channel and, we can talk about it and stuff. But it depends on the company and who you simulcast. So if you show anything Apple, they'll immediately copyright strike you. Samsung, I've done Samsungs before in the past, and they did not strike me because they own that content. But on the other side, you would think you would want the more viewers, the better, right? At least you would think that's the case, but Apple doesn't think so. And look, that's their right; it's their content. But Samsung really hasn't. I haven't done any lately, but I think in the last year or two I've done a few. And I think I did a nothing. Launch of some product. I don't know. They didn't copyright strike me. And I've done a Google one before. I think the very first year. I think this channel is like 3.5 years old. But I was watching it and I was like, damn, should I go live? And I'm glad I didn't, because it was just AI this, AI that, and it's really nothing to even talk about. One of those things where it's like, well, okay. No devices were launched. Honestly, nothing groundbreaking. I even went to the App Store because typically in the past, they would launch their A series devices at Google I.O. Now, they switched that in the middle of COVID when I think at the first year or so, I think in 2020, 2021, when everybody was on lockdown, that's when they split the A series launch after. Typically, they'll do it in May, or anyways, they don't launch any new products really at I.O. I.O. is typically just like the projects they're working on. And just to put everything in a nutshell, they did talk about Gemini's getting a boost of a suite of AI features. What's new? And then they also launched, not launched, but they also, maybe they did launch Android XR. It's the operating system for the wearables, not the wearables on the wrist, which they did announce something that I'll talk about just briefly so we can get past this. But they launched the Android XR. It'll be essentially the base operating system for glasses and or wearables, goggles, vision, stuff like that, stuff that you wear on your face, that these companies, these manufacturers, and these developers can take that base source code, and then they can build upon it, put their skin on it, develop apps for it, sort of like how Android does with One UI, right? There's a base code, a base Android code. Samsung gets that for the phones, and then they put their One UI skin on it. Android essentially launched Android XR for the goggles, wearables, and it is what it is. Before I get to my opinion, They also launched like a new wearables for watches, Android version for watches, which y'all know I'm not a big smartwatch person. But before we move on to the main topic, I still think the AI and AI features and AI suite and all this AI stuff is still too soon. Like, it's going to take a while for the general public to adopt AI fully. Meaning, do I use AI? Sure, but it's mainly for it's very. Can I do without it? Of course. Do I use a couple of things here and there? I do. I do have Gemini Pro, Gemini Ultra, which is like their entire suite on steroids. It's expensive as hell. It's like 200. I think they lowered it today from 250 a month to 200 a month, and that's still expensive as hell. That's like, oh, that's very expensive. I have Gemini Pro, which is obviously not the free version. It gives me more features and stuff that I need. But I still think adoption of I still don't think the general public, like the mass population, is just on that type of time. Like, it's gonna take a while. I don't know how long. I think kids nowadays, like my kid, like my 14-year old, or what is she, 14 or 15? Um, they're. I think it's gonna be that generation that's really gonna propel AI. I think people my age, our generation in the 30s and 40s, um, it's cool. I'll use it every now and then. I may use a via a Gemini created little video clip. I've done that a few times, but just like I was watching IO today, and I was just thinking, I still don't see people using this stuff. I think these tech companies are far ahead of the public as far as what they're doing and them thinking, oh, it's going to make your life so much easier and you can just look at this and it'll add it to your wish list and then it'll price check if, like say I'm using a new webcam today. So hopefully it's not as blurry or it's not, looking weird. I have a new an official webcam. I'm not using a phone as a webcam. I'm actually using a webcam. So like say I wanted to look at a webcam and I see one and the Android XR, I can say, oh, save that webcam and price check it. And it'll save it to my cart. And then if it finds a cheaper price a week from now, it'll update that item to the cheaper price, whether it be from this retailer or that retailer. And then at any point that I say, buy that webcam I was looking at last week, it'll just buy it, which is, I can see us getting there. Look, in 20 years, the world's going to look completely different in 20 years. I get that. And maybe this is just a weird transition phase that we kind of have to go through, I think, to get to that point. But does it really make your life easier or does it make it harder? Because here's the thing. People have to learn this stuff. Like, you can't just sit down and start using AI. You have to learn how to use the AI. And I honestly believe a lot of people don't want to spend that time or don't even have the time to look into how to make AI work for them. Because that's what it's all about. Just because there's this cool new AI feature, well, I may never use it because what do I need to use it for? And it's just like that stuff I use AI for, you probably don't use it for. And vice versa. Now, a lot of the AI that I use is not on device. Now, of course, I use the Gemini app on my phone, but like all the AI stuff that Samsung adds onto their phone, you can do this and do that, and I don't use hardly any of it. It's just bragging rights at this point. So I actually use the Gemini app the most, but Google I/O is just all AI this and AI that, and I had to turn it off. I was like, I can't listen to all this. It's just it's boring. Sorry, it's boring. It's just boring. Sorry. Now, I think there's another day. So they had I/O today, and then I think they have something else tomorrow. It's part of I/O, but I don't know. Maybe they're going to focus on hardware. I know today was like all software, and I think tomorrow they're going to take a peek as far as what I think hardware that they're working on with partners, not Google hardware. Well, they may have some Google branded items, but I think today they were talking a lot about partners they're working with, like HP and Asus and Samsung. There were a lot of they brought in a lot of partners today, so I think tomorrow probably going to be similar, maybe a little different. But if there's anything exciting, I'll certainly be the first to let you know. But I just think this AI thing is just still, people are just not adopting it as fast as I think Google thinks that people are adopting it. Like if you watched IO, you would think the whole world is using AI, right? And that's what made me turn it off. I was like, these people, and they kind of have to be, honestly, if they're leading the charge. Let's face it, Google is, in my opinion, far and away the AI leader. I mean, look, Apple's transitioning Siri is going to be based on Gemini. So I think Google's the leader in AI stuff. It's just, again, they probably have to be if you want to progress to that point in time in the future. But I'm like, they seem like not necessarily out of touch with reality, but I'm just like, I don't know anybody, literally anybody that uses AI more than I do. And I'm not even a big user in AI. So it kind of goes to show it's maybe not quite there just yet, you know. What's going on, man? Let's see. Damn, what is going on with my I got this new monitor here I'm using. Every time I read every time I read about the bad smartphone market news, I think about how lucky I was to snatch a 16 512 gig brand new OnePlus 15 last December for $900 right before all of this happened. Yeah, I'm computer shopping right now, and we'll talk about it here in a second. But yeah, you're spot on. Um, let's see here. Hi, can you run around in a circle really fast for us? Nah, not right now. I appreciate it though. I've been out and about today, so I feel good sitting down. Not living every time to move on. Okay, appreciate it. Hey, what's going on, Daniel? I sent you an email right before I started this live in regards to asking a question about the new, what is it, the ZenBook A16, because I found a new laptop that I'm thinking about getting, but I found the Asus ZenBook A16 for like $400 cheaper than the one I was looking at. And I was like, holy crap. So, anyways, check your email. No rush, no rush, no rush. I switched from the S26 Ultra to the OnePlus 15. Super happy. It's so fast, just amazing. I agree. Hey, what's going on, brother? Appreciate you joining us today. So, and again, I will, whatever happens at Google I/O tomorrow, if something interesting happens, I'll certainly let everybody know. But let's move on to the topic of the show, which I wanted to talk about. Well, I teased about yesterday. I wanted to talk about it yesterday. We just didn't have enough time to talk about it yesterday. But the smartphone market for America looks pretty freaking bad. And look, from my perspective, I know not everybody is in my seat. I like I said yesterday, I was going, or I said, I think it was last week. I was going through my analytics, and I have viewers all over the world. It's actually really flattering, but I get people in India, people in Italy, Germany, Canada, Southeast Asia is very popular in the Philippines. And I was actually talking to another YouTuber friend of mine, and he was like, you know what it is? He says, a lot of these people that don't speak English will watch English YouTube channels to help them learn English. And I was like, huh. I don't know if I'd be the best person to learn from, but anyways, depending on where you're at in the world, the future of your smartphone market might look a little bit different than ours here in the United States. If you're in the United States at the moment, the smartphone market, the future smartphone market, looks miserable. Now, I'm going to kind of lay this out for everybody, and I would like your input, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this. I'm going to re-upload this as its own individual video, so I really, really would like your input on this, because I want to know, am I crazy? Am I freaking out over this too much or not? Because here is the deal. So when you talk about smartphone market, everybody knows no matter what industry you're in, competition is key for the consumer. and the company, whatever industry that's in. Competition is good for the consumer because, for one, it keeps the price down, right? Two, we get better products because on the company side, on the manufacturer side, they're manufacturing a product, a competing company, a like company that has a similar product. They want the consumer to buy that product over the competitor. And what that does is make each company's product a little better every year. Well, if they're releasing this, well, we're going to do this and make it this much better. And it just goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it helps keep the price down relatively for the consumer. And in the smartphone world, that's a perfect example. It's no different. It's a great example because these companies are always trying to one up each other. They're always trying to keep a price a little bit under the competitor, at the very least the same, because at the end of the day, price is the ultimate thing that determines whether somebody's going to buy something or not. A large majority of the time. Of course, there's sometimes that you want that product no matter what it is, no matter how much it costs, right? I've been there, done that. Usually it's probably not the smartest thing, but there's some products that you just got to have, right? So let's take a look at the smartphone market in the United States right now. Everybody knows, well, let's do this first. So in the United States, what phones can you purchase? You have the Apple iPhone. You have Samsung Galaxy, right? You have the Google Pixel. You have Motorola. You have nothing. That's 5. And then you have currently OnePlus. So that's 6. And correct me if I'm wrong, but right, that's Apple, Samsung, Google, Motorola, nothing, and OnePlus. Yeah, so I think it's about 6. Now, we all know OnePlus is taking a step back from the global market. We've been over this a lot, and I don't have to explain it again. They're only launching flagships next year in China and budgets in India. Now, when I say for the U.S. consumer, I'm talking about you and I in the United States going to a company's website to purchase a phone. So I'm not talking about going to eBay, because whenever I do this, what about the Oppo? I get it, but yeah, you can go to eBay, buy you an Oppo phone, but you got to go to eBay. I'm talking about going to Samsung's website and buying a Galaxy. Going to Apple Store, buying an Apple, physically in the United States, right? Of course, you can go to nothing, or nothing's at Best Buy now, right? So I'm talking about in the U.S. I'm not talking about going to eBay, going to GizTop, none of that. We all know OnePlus is taking a step back. So here in the near future, and you can already see that unfolding, right? As Best Buy took the display models down and put nothing phones in there. You can still get them on Best Buy's website or OnePlus's website, but here in the near future, that's going away as well. So it looks like we'll have 5 devices moving forward, 5 different types of smartphones you can buy from 4 Android manufacturers and 1 from Apple. Now, with that being said, everybody knows, speaking of computers and stuff, the RAM and memory crisis as well, right? If you've looked for a new computer, you know what I'm talking about recently. Maybe you have a bare bones unit, you want to upgrade the RAM, the memory to. Yeah, that's all you got to do is take a minute or two, look at those prices. It is insane. I'm talking a 32 gig RAM kit that I paid $100. I think I paid for my last RAM kit from Crucial. And I bought a Gen 5 PCIe NVMe maybe about a year ago in a 32 gig RAM kit. So I paid like $100, $108 for the 32 gigs of RAM. If you try and buy a 32 gigabyte RAM, it's 2 sticks of 16 gigs. It's like last time I checked, it was like $400. I was like, I could not believe it. I was like, there's no way. And I went to another website, and yeah, it's that price. And then if you buy a PCIe, a M.2 SSD, same thing. So that not only hits the consumer, right, if you're just buying that memory, but guess what? These manufacturers are also affected by the rising costs in memory. Now, real briefly, I've said this many times, but I have to lay it out there. The memory costs, the reason why they're skyrocketing is predominantly, well, two things. The major thing that's making the prices go sky high is the data centers. The data centers that are popping up. I'm in South Texas. They're literally popping up all over the place. Austin's got a ton of them now. There's a huge new data center being built, I think by Microsoft on the west side of San Antonio. Enormous, enormous. Guess what? They got to fill those data centers with memory. So they're literally buying up all the memory, which is creating a shortage, which is driving the price up. And these memory companies cannot make this memory fast enough. So the shortage in memory, supply and demand, the shortage in memory is making the prices go way up. And as I mentioned, it not only affects us trying to buy memory, trying to buy computers, it affects these phone companies. So a good example of, we know the Pixel 11 series is coming out this summer, I think in August. Well, a new confirmed report says the upcoming Pixels are going to reduce the amount of RAM that they're going to have in them. So the Pro and the Pro XL are going to go down from 16 gigs in the Pixel 10 series down to 12 gigabytes of RAM in the Pixel 11 series. The base Pixel 11 is going to go down from 12 gigs of RAM that in the Pixel 10 series, the base model, to 8 gigabytes of RAM in the base Pixel 11. You see Apple starting to adjust how and Apple's a very specific case because they sell, I think, if they're not number one in overall sales, I'm talking of smartphones, tablets, computers, any component, any product with RAM and or memory in it. I don't know what else beats them. Maybe Samsung. But point is, they're adjusting how they're going to put memory in each product moving forward. Now, they're hoarding RAM as well. I did a story on that a couple weeks ago. They're buying up as much memory as they can for themselves in turn, so it'll future-proof their products, and then it'll make Samsung and other competing companies harder to get memory. Anyways, it's not only affecting Apple, Google, other companies, it's affecting Chinese phone manufacturers. It's harder for these Chinese manufacturers to get a hold of memory than it is Apple and Samsung and Google and nothing. As you know, the relationships between the Chinese and the rest of the world, specifically the United States, has not been on the best terms as of lately. I was watching the Trump visit to China very, very closely, and I'm not going to detail that in this video. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow or another day, but I was watching it very closely. They did open up some sales as far as memory and stuff like that, but that was more towards data centers and not necessarily towards phone memory. Well, the price of memory, like for companies like Xiaomi, for companies like Oppo, have skyrocketed. I'm going to show you this report. I'm getting in, and trust me, I'm getting to the final point, just laying out everything, right? Look at this. So the next flagships coming out of China, it might not even be available. So the next generation of Android Ultra flagship phones might not be produced. I continually hear rumors, leaks, stories about how companies like Oppo, they may just take a break from flagship phones for the next few years. Xiaomi, they may just not make flagship phones for the next few years. It's estimated, and nobody knows for sure, it's estimated that this RAM and memory crisis is going to last past 2030. And hopefully, again, these are just estimations. We have no idea, but experts in the field think that by 2030, or at least right after 2030, maybe 2031, The production of memory can catch up to the demand for memory. And once that sliding scale, once that seesaw kind of levels out, then you'll start to see the prices come down, a little bit. I hope the prices come down to where they were at pre 2026, 2025. Probably 2024 is when, right before the prices started going up. Uh, I don't think we'll ever get down to that level again. I just hope they come down a little bit. I mean, what would really suck is if these companies that manufacture this memory just say no, prices are going to stay the same. They're making money hand over fist. Y'all heard about how SK Hynix is giving each and every employee $500,000 bonus this year and $1 million bonus next year. That's $1.5 million in bonuses for every employee. If you get a paycheck, even if you're a janitor, if you get a paycheck from SK Hynix, you're getting $1.5 million US dollars. That's converted to US dollars over this next year. It is insane how much money these companies are making. What if they don't want to come down? What if they have some secret little pact? We'll drop it 5%, but again, we're talking, this has gone up 300, 400%. So is it ever going to come back down? I hope it does. I'm not sure. I know these phone companies hope they do, because companies like Oppo, companies like Xiaomi are just not going to make flagship phones. They literally cannot afford it. They literally cannot make a profit because they have to spend so much money on components to put in a smartphone. They would have to charge just to make a profit for, like, okay, let's say the Oppo, what is it? The Find X9 Ultra, right? The king of the hill for phones. Let's say right now it's what? I think the base model's $1,500. Let's say I think they would have to charge. I saw, and I wish I had saved it. It was late at night. I was going to bed. I should have saved it. I saw a story, or somebody do the math. For them to make a profit, they would have to charge $2,600, almost $2,700 for that same phone. The way the memory costs are rising and the component costs are rising, they would have to offer that to the consumer for $2,700. Who's gonna, and after taxes, who's gonna spend $3,000 on a cell phone? Well, look, will there be a few? I'm sure there will be, right? You have bragging rights. Oh, look at me. But to be honest with you, they're not going to sell enough to turn a profit. I mean, they may make a profit on that phone, but the amount of cost that goes into R&D, components, marketing, employees, it's just way too much money. So they're literally thinking of just not making flagship phones. So that comes back to us until 2030, or at least right around there, 2031. Then hopefully if the prices come down, then they'll start manufacturing flagship phones again. But that brings us back to the American smartphone market. So if OnePlus is stepping away from the United States, and your option of going to next year, of going to GizTop or eBay, say, screw it, I'm just going to go with these Chinese phones. There's not going to be any Chinese phones. I mean, you could, the X9 Ultra will still be there, right? Like, you can get a current year's phone a year from now or 2 years from now. But if you want a brand new flagship phone, there's not going to be any. So that option, if you're living in the United States, is not going to be there for you. So let's take it back to what we have available for us in the United States. Apple, iPhone 17, in the future, 18 Pro Max, 19 Pro. That option will always be there. And I get it. That option will always be there for you. That option's never going to be there for me because I hate using iPhones. So that's immediately wiped off the table. Google. They're reducing the RAM in their phones. And one thing, hey, y'all know that bothers me is the 200 charging cycle limit. After 200 charging cycles, and they're implementing this on, they said, on all flagships moving forward. After 200 charging cycles, they cut your charging speeds in half, and they cap your battery capacity at only 80%. My Pixel 10 Pro is sitting in my drawer over here. It takes 2 hours to charge it, and it dies like that. So why even use it? I don't want to use a phone where I know it's only going to be good for 6 months. So this year is actually going to be the very first year I'm not going to buy a Pixel, I think, ever. I've purchased every Nexus on launch day. I've purchased every Pixel on launch day, even dating back to the G1, the very first Google branded phone from T-Mobile. I'm not doing it. Like, I keep on complaining about it, and I was thinking, you know what? If I don't not buy their phones, I'm going to look like a fool. So, and plus, it's bullshit. Like, quite honestly, they need to make it optional, but it's not. It's baked into the operating system. So, that's off the table for me. I'm not going to buy an iPhone this year. I'm not going to buy a Pixel this year. Motorola. Now, now look, all these companies, I'm sorry, I should have stated this first. All these companies have mid-range phones you can buy. You don't have to buy the flagship phone. I get it. I love flagship phones. Like, I can deal with a very small number of non-flagship phones, like the Nothing phone. That was fun. I've done a CMF phone. I have no problem with that. It's just I have performance issues when it's not flagship. I do a lot on my phone. A lot. I edit videos, do photo, video editing. I run my business on my phone. So I gotta have a top-notch phone, or else I just can't use it. If I can't do what I normally do every day, I just won't use it. Getting back to Motorola. Motorola in the United States, they are introducing the Razr Fold, right? It looks like a viable option. It does not look like they're going to release the Signature in America. So again, I'm just talking about American phones, what you and I can buy in the United States right now. So that's an option. It's a flagship phone, flagship specs. It is a foldable. Now, you don't have to use it as a foldable, but I mean, if you're going to spend $2,000, it's like, well, why are you using it when it folded all the time, right? It's essentially the price of two phones put together. You need to open it up, and I think that's why I haven't purchased it yet. Quite honestly, is because I'm not sure how much I'll open it up. Anyways, I'm not sure I'll get one of those quite yet. So no Apple for me, no Google for me, and Motorola. I'm gonna go get a Signature, right? Personally, like right now, like I'm actively trying to get a Signature right now. So, but I'm talking. But again, that's not released in the U.S. So Motorola is at maybe with the Fold. And then who else do we got? Samsung. Oh yes, Samsung. So I really hope Samsung doesn't screw its users this year. And look, this is all subjective. And I say screw their users, but when you compare the price and the specs that they put in the S26 Ultra, it doesn't add up to its competitors. It's a great phone. I use it as my number one, number two device every day. It's a good phone in a vacuum, meaning like if you just use the phone and you put blinders on and you don't look over here and you don't look over here and you just use the phone, it's a good phone, right? I think anybody that buys it will like it, honestly, right? Minus the whole screen thing. But if you can get past that, it's fine. But when you look at what other companies are putting in their phones, like the OnePlus 15, that's $400-$500 cheaper. Like it kind of gets you upset at Samsung for not putting a 10-bit display in there, for not putting UFS 4.1 storage in there. So Samsung will always be there. Yes, I'm a sucker. I'll probably have to buy Samsung moving forward because I really don't have any other options, because iPhone, no. Google and Pixel, no. Motorola Razr Fold, I don't think so. Even though I want to, I already explained myself. So it looks like I'm just going to rock with Samsung. Now, OnePlus is stepping back out of the market, so there goes that option. And then that leaves Nothing. So depending on what Nothing does with the Nothing Phone 4, right? They're not going to put it out this year. It looks like they're going to do it next year. We'll have to wait and see. There's no look. Depending on how things go, there's no promise that they're going to launch it in the United States. I know you can buy the phone 3 in the US, but some of their phones you cannot buy them if you're in the US. Some of them phones you can. So I don't know if that's going to be an option. So I say all that to say we are screwed when it comes to phone buying. Look, it's first world problems, right? Could be worse. I get it, but I think this is the worst spot phone buyers have been in the United States, I think, ever. Now, the future looks really bleak going into 2030. Now, we're just in 2026. We still got the remainder of this year, 27, 28, 29, 30. That's 5 more years of it probably decreasing as far as our options, what's available, the price of memory. At this point, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, 10 years from now, could it be total opposite? Could be, but near future does not look good. It does not look good at all. So, man, oh man. Okay, perfect. Thank you. It's time to stock up on Oppo and Vivo phones while you can. Would not be a bad idea. And quite honestly, and here's the thing, you bring up a good point, because even let's say 2 years from now, right? So we're in 2026. Let's say 2028 rolls around, and let's say Oppo and Xiaomi have stopped making flagship phones because they're just not making profits from them. And in fact, it's costing them money, right, to produce these phones. Let's say you go buy a nice, gently used Oppo Find X9 Ultra. I think that phone, even the OnePlus 15, look, these flagship phones today, I think will last you, honestly. I know we like to move on to the next thing, the newest thing, a yearly release, but somebody mentioned that yesterday. Do we really need a yearly release? I think these phones 2 years from now would still be a great choice. How much better can the camera quality get from an Oppo Find X9 Ultra? How much better, how much faster RAM can you put in there? How much faster can you open an application? Like frame rate, benchmark scores. I think if there is any good news and or any speck of good news that I've kind of casted this cloud, the dark cloud over the mobile phone world over these next few years, if there's any shimmer of light, it's that I think these flagship phones, we've kind of plateaued at a point of performance where I think the devices will still be good. In fact, I know they'll still be good 2 years from now. It's just, what about moving into 2030, 2031, 5 years? I know you can hang on to an Oppo Find X9 Ultra for 5 years. I know the OnePlus 15 will still work good, probably in 5 years from now. S26 Ultra, probably still pretty good 5 years from now. However, it's right around the time when batteries start to degrade. So, look, you may have to pay, and I'm sure that's a fraction of what, if you had to pay for a battery replacement in an S26 Ultra 5 years from now, it'd be what, $120 compared to spending probably $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 every year for a new flagship of the next 5 years, because they're $1,000, $1,200 every year. So what if you buy, you would save, you would be paying 1%, if that, of the total amount you would be buying a new flagship smartphone every year for the next 5-6 years. So other than the whole battery thing, I think these things will be fine. And again, the typical lithium-ion battery lasts maybe 4 to 5 years. Silicon carbon, I think, is still kind of new. I know they have ratings online, charging cycles, and how much they'll be rated at after so many charges. Maybe I need to look into that, but I think they last a little longer than the typical lithium-ion batteries, like what come in the S26 Ultra. Now, eventually, you would have to replace those as well. I don't know who does silicon carbon battery replacements. I mean, it's a battery, right? It's not like you're replacing. I don't know. It's a phone battery, right? I just don't know who would do it, and especially if OnePlus leaves the global market. I I don't know. Maybe you could get help through OnePlus if you needed that. DM OnePlus or email them. Maybe they can help you. But you do bring up a great point. U.S. smartphone market is horrible. Too much carrier control. Probably ruined initially, followed by politics. But it's not. It's not too much worse when it was future phone days. Yeah, yeah, the whole I didn't even I haven't even thought of it from a care from a that you bring up a really good point too. And I haven't looked at this aspect of it. What about the carriers? What are they going to do? What are they going to now? Um they don't sell obviously these Chinese phones. And I guess they'll be fine as long as there's Apple and Samsung because we all know that's, and I guess Google. I guess they'll be all right, but man, they have a lot of influence inside our mobile phone world here in the United States, and it's certainly not good influence. In fact, it does more harm to the market for the end consumer than it does benefit. The only benefit you get from it is you get to put it on a payment plan, right? I mean, it's expensive buying a family of three, a family of four, a set of S26 Ultras, right? It's expensive. We're talking thousands of dollars here. It's much easier to go to T-Mobile and pay whatever $200 a month for everybody's phones and everybody's data and service, and just continually do that. You know that's a bonus, but as far as behind the scenes, they've been doing probably more harm than good. Asia used to get these best stuff. Oh yes, I know. I had a friend that was Japanese, and he used to go visit his family in Japan every year. I went to school with him. And what I'm talking about when you're like 16, 17, 18 years old, even when we got in our 20s, he would still go visit his family. He used to always come back with the latest Sony phone or Samsung phone, and it used to blow me away. They Japan had camera phones years before we did. I remember him coming back with a camera phone. I think it was a Samsung, but it had a all color display. And while we still had the gray and black displays with the T9 texting, this was like a full fledged camera phone, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" He's like, "Oh, look how cool this is, man! It's a phone, but it takes pictures too." And I was blown away. I was like, "They sell those over there?" He's like, "Yeah, man, they're all over the place." I was like, "Holy crap! It's insane! It is insane." Um, yeah, local control standards back then. Japan had video. Yep. See, I didn't read that until now. You're exactly right. Japan had video calls much earlier in devices, everything. The Apple dominance is only going up as they're raising price. As they're not raising prices like Samsung. Correct. Samsung is going to raise prices next year. Now, that's the reason why they didn't fully spec out the S26 Ultra. It's because they didn't want to raise prices, but they kind of did, because the only model they did not raise prices on was the model that sells the most. So the model out of the entire S26 family, the S26, S26 Plus, S26 Ultra, and then all of the storage variants, whether it's a 12256, 512, or 12 or 16 1 terabyte for the loaded model, out of all those models, out of all those SKUs, they raised the prices on, except one. And that was the base S26 Ultra model, the 12256. That remained the same as the previous year, but if you go and you look at the prices, all of the other models, all of the other storage variants were more expensive. So they were clever because they were a little sneaky, right? Now that base S26 Ultra model sells a ton of them. I mean, 2, 3, 4 times what all the other models sell. Um, so it's a little clever by them not raising the prices on that base model because the majority of people buy that. So when they buy it, they're like, oh, it's the same price. Yeah, but did you check the 512 model? Did you check the 1 terabyte model? A lot higher. So, but yeah, and they're going to have to raise the price on the base model next year. S27 Ultra, it's going to get a price hike. Now, we don't know what, by how much, right? I'm personally expecting $50, which doesn't seem like a lot, but don't be surprised if it's $100. So instead of the base model costing $12.99, it could easily be $13.49, $13.99. But it's pretty apparent that they are going to raise prices. Now Apple, I have no clue. They try to keep those prices the same. They sure do. It's very important. That price point is very important. But we'll have to wait and see. It's coming up here, I think here within a few months. The Apple dominance is going only up as they are not raising prices. Yes, like Samsung. I think I just read that. I wouldn't count nothing since it doesn't work on Verizon. Fair point. Fair point. And that's kind of been my number one gripe with nothing is the whole carrier compatibility thing. Like, I love their products. I like Carl Pay. I like the company. I like where they're going. I'm very happy to see them succeeding in this mobile tech industry. The cards are stacked against them coming into the market, and you do have to applaud them. Whether you like their products or not, you do have to give them props and credit for surviving this long already. Now, with that being said, I do like their products. I think they look good. Now, especially with this Nothing Phone 4a Pro, it kind of hurt me inside because I wanted that phone so bad. It just didn't work out, and it doesn't still work on Verizon, or what was it? AT&T wouldn't even register it in their system. Now maybe now after a few months being out they have, but when I got mine, so what the hell is this? Like, how do you expect to sell an unlocked phone, but it only really fully works with T-Mobile? So I think, I don't know. So I don't know if they're aware of this. Look, I'm sure they are. They got to get that straightened up. Like, I don't know what they got to do. Carl needs to make sure when they have a phone unlocked for the U.S., it needs to work on each and every carrier without any problems. Like, people just want to throw a SIM card in there and have it work. People don't want to put up with, oh, I got to do this, oh, I got to do that, or it only gets two out of the 5 bands, or I got to call them and, pressure them to have it work on their network. Nobody wants to do that, right? And it seems like an easy fix. Like, I don't know why we're still here, like 3 years after, with the same issue with the freaking network. I just don't understand. Like, I wish somebody would get in their ear and be like, yo, if you can just fix this one little thing, you would be widely accepted in the United States. It turns so many people off automatically knowing, oh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work with my carrier. A lot of people don't want to go to a T-Mobile. They're stuck, and that's fine. I completely get it. So it would just be nice if they had a real unlocked phone. I loaded up on SSDs when they mentioned shortages were coming, especially when there was the rumor Samsung said they were pausing making them. Do you remember that story if you watched my channel, I think as of last week? I mentioned it earlier, the SK Hynix, the bonuses that they're giving employees, they're making so much money. Well, the Samsung employees essentially went on strike because they're like, well, wait a second. Well, why is this company giving their employees 1.5 million US dollars, or whatever their equivalent is? Why are they getting literally life-changing bonuses? And that's just over a 1-year span. Imagine what they're going to get in 2 years, and 3 years, and 4 years. So the Samsung employees essentially had a strike. Well, the ruling came out, was it yesterday, that Samsung, the kind of union that they had for the Samsung employees, they made a proposal to the Samsung company saying, we want these benefits. They laid out their plan, and if you accept these off these terms. We will come back to work. Well, it came out yesterday. Samsung denied the terms of whatever they put forth. I saw that and I was like, yikes. Now, is it a negotiating tool? Probably. As you know, negotiations, either side doesn't ultimately get always what they want. So you kind of do have to meet in the middle. But Samsung said, nope, no thank you. So I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know. I have no clue. I'll look into this after the stream here is done and maybe update everybody tomorrow, because all I heard was Samsung said, no, we don't accept your terms. And now I'm like, well, what's next? Are they just going to continue being on strike? So they're not making any products like a memory? I don't know. But it's very interesting to see this go down on the other side of the world. And it directly affects literally you and I, because what you're watching me on right now has memory in it. Each and every phone, memory. So it directly affects us. It sure does. I'll look into that here in a minute when this is done. What are your thoughts on OnePlus? Any updates? I love OnePlus. Always have, always will. I'm sad that they're leaving the global market. I wish they were here to stay. It would offer the United States consumer another great option for if they want to buy a new smartphone. And with them leaving, it essentially, as I laid it out earlier, only limits us to, and especially for somebody like me that doesn't like iPhone, it essentially means if I want a new phone, I'm going to have to get a Samsung every year. And I don't like being constricted, even though I like Samsung, right? Look, I got one right here, right? Even though I like Samsung, I don't want to feel like that's my only option. And that's what I'm upset about. And that's kind of like what I realized over this last week. I'm like, holy crap. I can see this like big train way down the track. I can barely see the light coming around the corner. And before you know it, it's going to smack us right in the face. Like in a year or two, we're not going to have hardly any options. And I haven't heard anybody talk about this. And that's why I kind of wanted to do a live stream about it, to make everybody aware of what we're about to see is going to happen here. Not good. Hey, what's up, Mike? Hey, Taylor. I hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you. I pre-ordered the Moto Fold. Awesome. It had no updates on shipping. It's making me worry that Moto hasn't changed their ways. No. I think they start shipping, and Daniel, I think if you're still watching, I know he ordered one. If you, and I guess I can find out. If you don't mind, if you're still watching, Daniel, can you let us know on the shipping? I think they're shipping them out on the 21st. So I would not be worried. Look, with this Moto Fold and the Moto Signature, they make a statement first, but yes, they do have to show us. Now, I've seen a little bit of that, of them changing ways with when I had this signature. I had a number of updates just in a couple of months, and just those software updates, just those Google Play Services updates, lets me know they are serious. Now, I wish Motorola, and for everybody that doesn't know, Motorola made a statement 6 months ago that on two devices, their two flagship phones are coming out with, Motorola Signature and Motorola Razr Fold. Those two devices will get monthly security updates and software updates each and every month for 7 years. So you get 7 years of updates, 7 years of security patches on those two phones only. I wish they would do it on other models, but I know, a little skeptical, right? I haven't used Motorola in years, and I was skeptical. Now, I can't speak for them, but I feel like I watched the launch of the Motorola Signature. I know nobody else did. That was in India. It was like 3 a.m. here. And then I watched a couple of interviews from the CEO, and it looks like to me, now maybe I got fooled, but I don't think so. I think I have a fair judgment of somebody's telling the truth or their character, but it looked like to me he wanted that to change. As far as they know how we perceive Motorola, they watch the YouTube channels, YouTube videos, just like everybody else does. They know how everybody makes fun of Motorola, used to, and I think they want to change that. And I think they have something very, very special on their hands with the Razr Fold and the Motorola Signature. And I think they want to build upon that. Now, that's why I'm kind of upset that they don't fully release the Signature in the US, because I think it would essentially blow all other phones away, because for the price, you can't get a better spec phone. That's even cheaper than the OnePlus 15. It's a fantastic phone. Now, their shipping dates, let me find out for you. I think they're going to turn the corner on this. Here's the thing, and I think they know this. If they don't capitalize from the if Motorola does not capitalize from the good press that they've gotten on this Motorola Razr Fold, they are complete fools, and I will definitely call them out in the future if they fumble this launch of the Motorola Razr Fold. It looks phenomenal, and the only reason why I haven't ordered it is because I'm not big on foldables. I like the flip styles, the clam style, like the flip. I just haven't found a foldable book style that I like. But if I was going to get one, hands down, it would be the Motorola Razr Fold. Hands down. I wouldn't even think of getting another one. It's just too good, the hardware. And the software is really, really, really nice. Let's see. Should I put shipping date? May 21st, I was right. So May 21st, that is what, Thursday? So let's put it this way. If you haven't not received a notification that it shipped by Friday, they're supposed to ship them out on Thursday, but I would give them a day, just to because what happens is, even if they send it to the carrier, until it actually starts to get scanned by UPS or FedEx or whoever they use, that's when it'll start picking up in the system when you check for the tracking. So even if Thursday comes and you still don't see anything, you're like, "Yo, what the hell's going on?" They could have sent it to UPS. UPS just hasn't scanned it yet to be on its way. So I think by Friday afternoon, if you haven't heard anything, I might send them an email, be like, "Yo, what's going on?" But as of right now, they haven't shipped anything to anybody. So I think that's normal at this point. I would definitely give them Friday, shoot, even by Saturday, right? If it hasn't moved. Nothing works fine on T-Mobile. They're 30% of the market, so I'd count it. Apple iPhone used to be AT&T only. Yep, we counted it back then. That is true. Yeah, they sure did, man. It does work on AT. Oh, so what the hell was going on with mine? I already returned it, so I can't test it again. I don't know. I had trouble with mine, but maybe you did not. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Vic? It's good to see you, brother. Hello. I think I might be importing the OnePlus 16 or Oppo before going with Google or iPhone, Samsung. Maybe. Good option. Good option. You might want to, because there might not be a flagship phone from Oppo or Xiaomi, or I think the OnePlus 16 is coming out, but just not in America. I think they're launching it in China only. But that's an option if you really, really, really want it. Let's see here. Huawei Mate 7. Pura X Max. Yeah, they are, aren't they? He says Chinese phones are way superior. It appears that way. It appears that way. Lyca phone by Xiaomi, and I love it. Interesting. I'm gonna look that up here after in just a second. What is it called? Lights phone? Leitz. Okay, I got it in my search history, so I'll look at that in a minute. Wow, that looks cool. Holy crap. Damn, that looks nice. You just sold your Nothing Phone 3 because the standby battery life was ridiculous. Interesting. I saw one the other day, but I didn't pull the trigger. It was still, I think they were asking 500 for it. We're waiting for your review of the Oppo and Vivo Ultra. If you have one to send me, I would love it. I would love to review one if you're going to pitch in and help. Um, I might, but I don't know if it'll be anytime soon. Um, I don't know. We're gonna have to wait. I'm still deciding on which phone to get next, but Oppo's probably at the top of the list or right up there, right? If nothing, a launch on Verizon compatibility definitely be a very good option. You get good battery life on the Nothing Phone 3. It's S26 Ultra. Damn, interesting. I do, unfortunately. I say unfortunately. Don't update it to 26.5? Huh. Oh, interesting. Yeah, look for an update. Look for an update. I know Samsung put I think that battery drain bug is really, really bad. I think it might be the worst bug I can remember that's affecting the most amount of people. I think I can remember. I want to say, I want to say forever, but I don't want to say forever because I'm probably wrong. But at least from what I can remember, I mean, it's affecting millions of people, and it's bad. Like your phone will die within hours. Um, I need to look into that some more. Guys, I have to get out of here. I do appreciate the time. Hey, Bradley, what's going on, man? Yes, I think you should. If you can afford it, I think it would be a great option. It's a phenomenal device. I don't think you will dislike it. I think you will love it. Flagship Motorola, yeah, that's what there was before I get out of here. There were talks that they were going to release the Motorola Signature in the United States, but they were going to release it under a different name, like the Moto Edge 70 Air. I don't know why these companies do this, but I was like, whatever, just release it, right? Even if it has a different name, whatever. But it does not look like that's going to be the case. So they would kill it. They would kill it. Now the Razr Fold, the outer display when it's closed, I've heard is it's just as good as any other phone because normally when you have a foldable, the front outer display will not be as good as a regular smartphone. But the one on this Motorola Razr Fold is so good. I've heard people say they love and enjoy using the phone when it closed. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, damn, that's why I don't know if I'm going to get it because why get a phone that's $2,000 if you're not going to be opening it up that much, right? But they would kill it if they had a regular candy bar style phone to compete against the S26 Ultra, all the other flagships, the iPhones, the Google Pixels. People would buy it, and I don't understand why they're not doing it. Maybe they're using this to test the waters, but I think so far it's got pretty good reception, and it hasn't even been launched yet. But everybody I see that has it absolutely loves it. So I think they need to after getting their feet in the water, I think they need to release something, hopefully later this year, because as I mentioned, our options are getting small. So, no, yeah, trust me. After thinking about it, like, yeah, I think I could do that and, review some finances and look over stuff. Maybe I could sell this, maybe I could sell that, or yeah, that may be able to fit it in. And I'm like, oh, that's a tough buy. I mean, look, if you buy it on a credit card, you can obviously pay it off, but still, not cheap. It's like buying two flagship phones in one, right? I'd rather have two flagship phones, but that's just me. I've never been that big of a foldable fan, but I know people love them, and if you do, hey, more power to you. But um, it's expensive. But I got to get out of here, guys. I do appreciate the time. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you have a fantastic rest of the day. Please be safe, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out.
Yeah. Woo.
I just need my space right now.
Fresh off the G5 jet, on my